Welcome back to IAS Net Study. This is the ethics series and this is the 19th video. In the previous videos, we have finished three units, the first ethics and human interface. Then we talked about attitude and we have finished aptitude also. Now we are going to discuss the fourth unit, emotional intelligence. Before directly talking about emotional intelligence, what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the first aspect, emotion aspect. Then later on, we are going to link it with intelligence. Then it would be easier and it gives you conceptual clarity to interlink emotions and intelligence so that you get a 360-degree understanding. So let's talk about emotions first. See, I told you that we have finished three units. Where exactly we had a discussion on emotions in the all the three units. First unit, when we were discussing the ethics and human interface, there you remember be- beliefs impact value impacts my attitude impacts my behavior. Ultimately, if my behavior has to be ethical, then the influence of value, influence of attitude, influence of belief, my cognitions, these are quite important. And the emotional aspect, it is quite important with respect to these three attributes here. My For my belief system, for my attributes, for my value, for my attitude, the emotional factor is quite important. If my cognitions, if my values, if my attitude had a very significant influence of negative emotion, then this is going to impact on my behavior. So negative cognitions going to impact my negative emotions, going to create negative cognitions going to impact my value system, it is going to impact my attitude change and attitude formation. Eventually behavior will not be ethical. So if my uh, behavior is impacted by negative mood or negative emotions like anger, rage, irritation, vengeance, then this is going to impact my behavior also. So my objective is to ensure ethical behavior. But if I am influenced by all these negative values, then it is going to impact my ethical behavior. In the first unit we talked about emotions, the role of emotions, right? In the next unit, in the second unit, there are two concepts, attitude formation and attitude change. There we talked about cab model. I hope you remember the cognitive model, affective model, and behavior model. The affective model, it deals with emotions. So affective model deals with emotion. There also we talked about it. For attitude formation as well as attitude change, this affective model is quite important. There we talked about emotions, right? And then in the same unit we were talking about social influence and persuasion. Persuasion is that your opinions, your emotions, your beliefs are influenced by other person. So where there, when we were discussing regarding persuasion and social influence, there also we talked about the aspect of emotion. So emotion, in the first unit we talked about emotion in the behavior, and then the second unit, attitude change and formation, we talked about emotion, and in the same unit, the persuasion and social influence, also we talked about emotion. So here what I'm trying to say is, emotions, don't think that the emotion, it is something related to your inner self and it is nowhere related to the practical purpose. No, it is not. Emotion has a very strong role to play. Now this we understood emotions. Now let's see what exactly this emotion is, and then we try to connect with intelligence, right? So what is emotion? Emotion is a state of mind. It is a psychological state. It is a state of mind. And this state of mind has three components. The first is subjective experience, and then physiological change, and then expressive behavior. Combination of these three is nothing but emotion. First, emotion is an psychological state. It is a state of mind. Emotion is a state of mind. It compromises three things. The first is subjective experience. Subjective experience is that my individual experience. See, if there is a emotion of anger, my experience, what I feel when I'm angry is different from what you feel. One person, my when person is angry, he starts shouting. Other person may start crying. Other person start uh, may feel depressed. So the subjective experience changes from person to person. So it is a state of mind which includes subjective experience, and this subjective experience changes from person to person. So this is first component of emotion. And the second component is psychological changes, sorry, physiological changes. See, this is psychological state of mind. Then physiological changes. Physiology is your physical body. So physiological changes, emotions bring physiological changes. What are the physiological changes? Heart rate, hormones. See, if I am experiencing the factor of emotion of fear, then I start shivering, I start sweating. If I see a snake, see, this is what I experience in my body. These are my physiological changes. And you have to remember that these are involuntary in nature. Usually these physiological changes, the bodily changes, the physically changes, these are involuntary in nature. My heartbeats start raising. If I see a snake, there will be release of hormones here, and there will be burst of energy. I want to run away. There will be burst of energy, and I'll be start breathing very heavily. So these are physiological changes. And the third component is expressive behavior. Now, whatever changes is happening in my body, I start expressing it. First, I've experienced the emotion of fear. Now my legs started shivering, I started sweating. This is my physiological changes. Now I am going to express through my behavior. The explicit outward expression, it is expressive behavior. Here my facial expressions are, if I am, now I am scared, I've seen a snake, now I am scared. Now expressive behavior is that I will run away from that. So facial expression, here I am going to run away, but that is going to showcase in my face or in my tone, in my gestures. So these are three aspects. Emotion, it is a state of mind. There are three components: subjective experience, physiological changes, and the expressive behavior. And our ability to accurately understand these expression is tied with what psychologists called emotional intelligence. Basic, you understand emotions. Now you need to connect with emotional intelligence. See, emotions, it is a state of mind, that is something internal, right? Now you are going to connect with intelligence, and this intelligence, it's nothing but, there is a rational act, rationality. See, when you are intelligent, you take decision based on some evidence, you take decision based on some logic, right? Now you are connecting emotions with intelligence. Emotion, there is no logic behind it. You feel that there is no logic, there is no logical expression. You can only express it, you cannot explain it. So now there is an factor of emotion. Now you are linking it with intelligence. Intelligence is, it means that if I am intelligence, all my decisions are based on rationality. I have some evidence, based on that evidence I take my decisions. So here, combination of two opposite characters, one is emotion, usually it is considered illogical. Now it is there is a combination of rationality, so emotional intelligence. So now we are going to dig in detail how exactly, what exactly this emotional intelligence is first, and then how can you link it with the administration. So even we'll see from the management, from the private sector also. Majorly we are going to focus from the governance perspective, administration perspective. So this is emotion. Now you have to analyze how exactly this illogical, I'm not explicitly saying that it is illogical. In general, it is considered as feelings. Feelings are illogical. There might not be any logical or valid explanation behind the feeling, but still you feel that. So the factor of illogic combines with logic, combines with rationality. This is emotional intelligence. Now let's see what exactly this emotions does. What are the purpose of this emotion, right? Before that, we'll talk about types of emotion. There are two types: primary and secondary emotion. Primary emotion, I'll explain it through an example. Your friend has told you something and you are sad. So he has hurt you, you are sad. That is your primary emotion. Now because you are sad, that has turned you into angry. So you are angry because you are sad, because your friend told you something. So primary emotion is you are sad. And secondary emotion of, because you are sad, there is a trigger of another emotion, there is a manifestation of another emotion inside you. And what is that emotion? That is angry. Or you are depressed, your friend has criticized something, and that triggered an emotion of sadness, and this sadness led to depression. The whole day you are upset, your friend has told you something, though. So primary emotion, what exactly the direct consequences of an act. And secondary emotion is that the primary emotion, it is going to give rise to another emotion, that is secondary emotion, right? And we have a positive emotion, negative emotion. Positive, very simple, you just by looking at to the terminologies you would understand what are positive emotions. Emotions which are pleasant, emotions which are rewarding, like joy, it is an emotion, love is an emotion. See, when you experience these emotions, there will be, these are called positive emotion, because it brings some kind of pleasant feeling inside you. So these are positive emotion. At the same time, negative emotions are also there. It means that it reduces your confidence, some kind of insecurity this is going to trigger in you. And these are negative emotion. In turn, they are going to turn your mood into a negative mood. So hate, anger, these comes under the negative emotions, right? Now I told you that two concepts, one is emotion, intelligence. So why are we combining these two concepts of different opposite concepts here? Emotion is one side, intelligence is one side. Now we are combining these two because when we combine these, one it is based on feelings, another it is based on rationality. When you combine this, we can channelize our emotion for something constructive purpose. If I am an IAS officer, now there is a factor or concept of emotional intelligence. My emotions and my intelligence, there is a combination of these two, and I can use this. Now with the help of emotional intelligence, I can channelize my emotions, I can channelize your emotion for the constructive purposes. And what is the constructive purposes in a public sector? For public sector, it's a welfare of the citizens, welfare of the public is the constructive purpose. If you look at it, the private management, what exactly? Maybe profitability, maybe efficient management. These are constructive purposes. So it changes from a public organization and a private organization. Ultimately, it helps you to lead towards the goal. So goal is different for both the organization, and it helps you to move towards the goal. It helps you to achieve the purpose of your life from a larger perspective. So that is emotional intelligence. Now let's see the purpose of emotion. First we'll talk about the purpose of emotion. So then when we discussed about emotional intelligence, we talk about utility of emotional intelligence. Right, here let's talk about purpose of emotions here. See, emotions can play an important role in how we think and how we behave. I told you that in the first chapter, the ethical behavior, you remember that: belief, values, attitude, and the behavior. So here, how from belief to behavior, the role of emotion is very significant. So how we think, it is going to be impacted by our emotion, and how we behave, my behavior is also going to be impacted by emotion. So the purpose of emotion, it is very strong, especially if you look it from an ethical perspective. In order to have that ethical behavior, the purpose or the role of emotion, it is very strong. And our emotions, see, emotions, it can be you can see it from a different perspective here. Emotion, it is, some emotions are very short lived. You have seen a film star, you are fond of a cricketer, and you saw the cricketer, and the emotion of joy and the emotion of the cheerfulness, all these things, even though you have seen, you maybe he was traveling in a car, and you have seen that person only for a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds. You experience that emotion for very short period of time. So emotions can be short lived, right? At the same time, emotions can be long lasting also. If you have lost someone very, the maybe one of your family members or the person you love, then the the emotion is going to stay for very long time. So there will be loss, and there will be, time is going to extend, you are going to feel that emotion for very long period of time. So emotion can be short lived, or it can be long lasting. So especially the sadness, all these things, when you, there is a loss of relationship, you can feel that sadness for a very long time, pretty long time, especially if your life partner died, or your one of the family members died. So it is going to cause a lot of pain. So emotion can be short lived also, emotion can be long lasting also. Now what is the purpose of emotion? Let's talk about the purpose. The first emotion is, emotion can motivate to take action. How exactly it is going to motivate to take action? See, every single step you take in your life, there is a factor of emotion. If, take an emotion of fear. If I am afraid, I am not going to sit quiet, I'm going to do something. If I am afraid, I've seen a snake and I am afraid now, what am I going to do? Either I start hitting the snake, or I'll run away from that place, or I'll get some other people to do something. Here what I'm trying to say is, some action is happening. Whether I run away, or whether I call somebody else, or whether I shout, whatever my reactions, my action, it is motivated by emotion, because there is an emotion of fear after seeing the snake. Because of this emotion, I took some action. Or if I am angry, I will shout, or I will start beating other person, I start scolding other person, or there will be some kind of conflict or confrontation. Here also, if confrontation is happening, because emotion of anger, I am angry, fight is happening between you and me, What is the cause between that? I am angry, emotion is angry, whatever the reason. But you, if you go to the core, the cause between that, it is the emotion cause. Then if I am happy, few people they start dancing, and few people they start singing, and few people they start laughing very loud, and maybe few people start crying also. So even joy also, it pushes you to take some action. If you take any emotions, it is going to lead some action. See, when you feel that emotion, you're not going to simply sit and you just experience inside. That's a very rare unit. In general, the whenever you experience any emotion, this is going to motivate you to take some action. So emotions motivate you to take actions, right? Joy pushes pursuit of pleasure, sadness prompt withdrawal or help seeking, love inspires sacrifice. See, every emotions you feel, this is going to trigger some kind of actions. So without emotional fire, even the best rational plan stays inert. If there are no emotions, nothing is going in your head, and you're not going to do anything, because there is no triggering factor. So if there are emotions, this is going to inspire you to take an action. So this is first thing, emotion, it is going to trigger your actions. Emotions can motivate you to take an action, you to do something. So emotions and action, right? This is the first purpose. And the second purpose is emotions help us to survive, thrive, avoid danger. See, in the last purpose, we talked about emotions drive action, right? We understood that. Now it is just extension of that particular idea only. Very precisely, emotions helps us to survive. How exactly? Take an example of snake only. I have seen a snake. If I have that emotion of fear or I am scared, then I know that this is life threatening. If the snakes bite me, then the consequences will not be positive. Now I know the situation, there is some trouble here. Now I have to save myself. How do I save myself? I run away, or I call somebody, or I start hitting something. I will do. So the reason why I do is I want to protect myself. So in turn, if you look at it, emotions help us to survive. This is just an example. In general, in reality also, see, if there is, you are walking in a street and there are like 4 or 5 people very mischievously, they are coming towards you, it's in the dark night, then you understand that they're planning something else. You're not very sure, but still you feel that there is something wrong here. So your emotions tells you to run away from that situation, or you start fighting, or you get that courage, whatever it is, based the emotion is there. So emotion helps you to survive. So emotion helps you to thrive. Emotion helps you to avoid danger. So when we are in these kind of tricky situation, we need to get rid of these situation. How do you get rid of these situation? Your emotions. Emotions comes into the picture at this point of time. So if there is a fear, then either I uh, flight from the situation. I have seen a snake, or I think that the person is a group of people, they are coming and their attitude is not positive. Now I understood that there is a danger. I run away from that situation, or I start fighting with them to protect myself. So on the whole, what I'm doing is I want to avoid the danger. Either I fight or I flight. By doing that, I am avoiding the danger. So here, whatever I am doing, this is going to make sure that my survival is protected, right? At the same time, anger mobilizes energy to defend against threat. Again, if there are any life threats, if I am emotion of anger, I can protect myself. And then disgust protect us from contamination or harmful things. See, even emotions, very big perspective, emotion impact actions. And deduct if you derive some hypothesis out of it, the same emotions, it can help to avoid dangers also. So I can avoid danger in my life due to these emotions only, right? This is the second purpose. And the third purpose is emotions can help us to make decisions. How exactly emotions are going to help us to make decisions? From a very small thing, maybe watching a movie. If you want to watch a movie, and how do you decide that? It is based on your emotion only. If you have that negative affiliation towards emotions like scary, fear, all these things, you're not going to go to a horror movies. You are going to avoid horror movies. Or if you have that positive affiliations towards, or you're liking towards romance, comedy, all these things, then you're going to select this genre of movie. So from a very small decision to very big decision, maybe falling in love with a person, again the emotions comes into a picture. So from very small decisions to very life changing decision, career decisions, or you are an administrator, or you are an IAS officer, there also you have to make a decision. See, you are going to focus on objectivity, but sometimes the emotions also enter into the picture. So it helps us to make a decision. See, most of the, you can say it as a gut feeling. See, most of the time logic cannot work. Logic comes, does not come into the picture, because if you keep on inculcating this logical factor in every single decision, it is going to take a lot of time and it is going to create a lot of delay. And even there are some situation, even after applying logic, you still not able to get the conclusion. So what do you do in this situation? It is emotions. Then your decisions are based on the emotions. There are situation, take an example of ethical dilemma only. There are two consequences, there are there are two options in front of you. You have to choose an option. Whatever option you choose, ultimately this is going to compromise some value system. How do you do with that? You go with a gut feeling. I'm not talking about whether it is right or wrong, sticking to the gut feeling. I'm telling you that how do you make decisions. So you stick onto your gut feeling. So sometimes even logic, it is not going to help you. Logic may be very slow, or you don't get that evidence factor with the logic alone. So emotions comes into the picture. So whether it is just to have a breakfast, just to watch a movie, to the career decisions, to a decision of your life like marriage, love, all these things, emotions plays very important role, right? This is the third purpose. Fourth purpose is that emotions allow other people to understand us. See, you can understand me in a simple terminology, in simple way, if I have to put it. How do you understand me? See, we both have met, and the way I talk to you, my facial expression, my behavior, you can easily understand whether I like you or not. So my emotions, it is going to impact my behavior. See, my emotions is going to impact my behavior. Looking at my behavioral expressions, you can understand what is going on with me. You can understand whether I like you or not. So it helps you to understand me. So when we interact with other people, it is important to give cues to help them understand how we are feeling. If I'm with smile and if I showcase my positive attitude, then you're comfortable. You know that I am happy seeing you. So you can understand me that okay, this is what he's feeling comfortable. So you can understand me. This cue might involve emotional expression through body language, such as various facial expression connected with a particular emotion that we are experiencing. That is what, in a simple terminology, through my behavior you can understand me, whether what exactly I am feeling at that particular moment. Am I happy meeting you? So it helps you to understand me. One thing, you understood me. At the same time, the same emotion, it is going to help me to understand you also. So one purpose is I can understand you. I can understand you. At the same time, you also can understand me. So the mutual understanding is there with the help of emotion. I've met you and I've there is a shake hand and there is a hug. Then I realize that this person is not liking me, even though there is a smile in his face. I can analyze from the behavior, the way the person is behaving. You just want to cut short the conversation. You just want to go away from this particular situation. I can sense that. So here you can understand me. I can also understand you. So emotions helps to understand each other. So this is another purpose of emotions, right? The first purpose is that emotions, it motivate us to take action. If I have to do something, the motivational factor is emotion. Then emotion helps us to survive and especially to avoid danger and to protect myself. And emotion helps to take decisions also. And emotion help me to understand you, and emotion helps you to understand me. So these are some of the purposes of emotion. I think this is it for this particular video. In the next video, we are going to discuss the topic of emotional intelligence and also framework of emotional intelligence, right? Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good time.